Hi, I'm Katie Sky. Welcome to my channel and welcome to Pinecone. This is my fall Forestcore island and this is what we worked on last week. Hazel's area with the plant shop and then of course Marty's area with the little bee area. And then today we're working on two villager houses as well. This is Sylvana's house up here and then this is Blaire's house down here. And let's go ahead and get started. We're gonna start up here at Sylvana's house and her house is going to be a bakery. So we're just gonna start off by putting the reception counter and the dessert case down, and then we're gonna immediately start working on something else, as is usual for me, and we're gonna start on some of the pathing. It's a really kind of awkward area to do pathing in, so I can't do like full on pathing, so we're gonna be doing lots of circles and lots of planks. I did try to make regular like elongated pathings work, but it wasn't gonna work. The area was too small and long, so I had to pivot and decide on a different way to do the pathing. Pathing is not my strong suit, which is why I tend to struggle with it a little bit more than honestly anything else, but you know, practice makes perfect. Although if I haven't perfected that after so many years playing the game, I don't know if I will. But and then I decided to pick up the only two items I'd put down so far, because I wanted to put planks underneath it just so that it looked a little bit separate from the rest of the build around the house. I don't know, so it looks a little bit more professional to a degree. And once we have that pathing down, we're just gonna pop those two items back down, so the reception counter and the dessert case, because they kind of look similar. The colors are slightly off, but they have the same kind of design on the front and they're close enough in color that they look like they go together. And then I went ahead and popped down this second reception counter to kind of make it look like it's part of the back counter that's kind of like the customers don't have access to, but like they can still see in the little bakery area. And then we're adding our festival balloons because that's what this island is made up of, it seems. I really enjoy how the balloons look, so I've just been putting them kind of everywhere. And I like how they look. And then we're just putting some little filler areas on the side. Trees, bushes, flowers, wheat field, you know the drill. And then we're also adding in some of our spooky items because it is a fall island. So we need the spooky items, although it's not Halloween Island, so that's why they're all turned around so you can't see the jack-o'-lantern faces on them, if you were curious. I know that's pretty self-explanatory, but still, I thought I should tell you. And we are now moving on to the more of the cafe part. We're going to put the little chalk menu sign down and start working on the tables. I'm using the small cafe tables, and then I change my mind immediately, as per is the history of how I decorate. And then I'm gonna put the, what are these, the ranch tea tables, almost like it's kind of like you're sitting at a bar where you're like drinking your coffee, you know, working on your laptop, whatever people do at coffee shops. I don't really know about that. I'm not a coffee drinker, so it is a bakery, but it's also a coffee area as well. I don't know if that's normal for bakeries. But that's what this bakery is. But so we're just putting down some smaller items, the laptop, the little coffee cup, little to-go boxes, mugs, you know, that kind of thing, things that you would see at like a coffee shop or a cafe, those types of things. Basically just a cute little shop that you go to do your work or to just hang out with friends. That was kind of the vibe of this area. And then we're randomly gonna put a pile of leaves in the middle of the shop. I don't know why, but I wanted to fill this area with something, and that's what I did. And then we're moving on to the actual area of Sylvana's house. I cannot tell you how annoyed I am that you cannot plant stuff closer to their front doors and you can only do like little pathing. I want to put a flower there, but it won't let me. It makes me so sad. And of course we have to make sure that we run through the pile of leaves first to make sure that they're gonna poof up like they're supposed to. I don't make the rules, I just follow them. And now we're just gonna add some little natural foliage onto the side of her house and put some little rocking chairs in front where she can, you know, read, count her money from the day at the cafe, you know, whatever, those types of things. The second rocking chair did give me some issues because of that curved corner in the landscaping, the terraforming, I mean. So I just had to readjust. And then we're gonna pop the little spooky chair in between them, and that's gonna be like the little table for her books. I forgot the word books for a second, which is crazy since I'm an author. Like, that's what my whole day is just books, and I forgot the word books. It's hilarious. Anyway, we put down a little free library, a little bench for, I'm not even really sure why, so you can sit in a different area, I guess. And then we're popping a coat underneath the little library because of course we are. You can't just not have a coat underneath stuff. And then again, getting frustrated that I can't put something like an item in front of the house. So frustrating. And then I just put this little mug on the bench. And now we're moving on to Blaire's house. For Blaire, we are starting with the codes that have to go around the door. I learned my lesson from Sylvana, and I'm doing that first so I don't get frustrated. Will I forget to do that in the future? Of course I will. And then we're moving on to doing like the trees and the more natural things. And very similar to how we did Sylvana's house, Blaire is also going to get a little chair action for her to sit outside of her house and do whatever they do. I like to do that for the villagers. I like to make sure that they have somewhere to sit outside of their house. So a lot of my houses start to look the same because it's kind of the same setup. I try to mix it up, but I always just fall back into the same thing. And we have this kind of awkward area behind Blaire's house and next to Sylvana's cafe. And I'm gonna put a little seating area in here with lots of like trees and bushes and flowers, just natural stuff, just a small little filler area. And we're gonna use the long, what is that called? The long log, extra long couch? That one? We're using that one with a little table that I don't think stays. I think I get rid of that table. Oh my god, I can't remember what this filler area ended up looking like. Gosh, I've been doing too much Animal Crossing. I can't remember. All of the builds are like they're melding together in my head now. Okay, it doesn't stay. Cool. We do the little log chairs instead, and then we're gonna put in a little fence to kind of show that it's different. It's not part of Blaire's house. It's kind of its own little area. I love this vertical board fencing. It's one of my favorite fences, and I don't really use a lot of fences, as I'm sure you've noticed. I don't know why, I just don't. But I do really like this one. And we're just gonna pop in some plank pathing so that you know that you walk this way, as opposed to I don't know any other way. And we're just gonna add in a few bits before we move on to the other side of Blaire's house. And Blaire has the tea party area. I do start out with the Turkey Day tables, but they do not stay. I end up switching them out later. But we are gonna use the little wedding chairs because they're cute and they're green and they have yellow on them, and those are kind of like major colors of this island so far, and because they're cute and I wanted to use them. And while I was doing this build, I realized that I've never actually done a tea party before because I had no idea what I was doing. It took me so long to do this build because I kept changing my mind on literally everything. And then I immediately ran out of chairs. So I did have to go get chairs from a spicy island. I do love a treasure island. It makes decorating so much easier. I know not everybody likes them, but to each their own. They help me get my islands done in the time that I want them to be done in, and you know, it makes the game more fun for me. Anyway, so we're just finishing putting these chairs down. There are so many of them, and then I decide that there's too many, and I take a few of them out because it looked too, like, way too much. I did not like how it looked. It was too busy, I think. And you couldn't really squeeze in between so that you could sit down at them, and that's kind of what I wanted. Although I don't think you can sit down at them anyways, but that's the kind of the reasoning behind it, and then I decided that doesn't actually matter. And then when I tried to push that chair, I sat down as one. And now we're just gonna move on to this little back area, which is mostly gonna be like natural stuff, and then I'm gonna put this Turkey Day thingamabob and put the little cake on there, the wedding cake that has green in it. Looks kind of like a naked cake. Just so that you could be like, this is what we're having for dessert after the tea party. I don't know how tea parties work. I'm pretty sure I've been to one when I was really little, but I have no memory of it, and I don't know what happens at tea parties, so I'm just kind of winging it at this point. Which should honestly just be the motto of my life and my decorating style in Animal Crossing. I never know what's going on. I just kind of go with it and figure it out along the way. Probably not the best way to approach things, but you know, that's how we do it. And this is where I replaced the tables when I discovered I don't in fact like those. They didn't look right with the chairs, and I knew I really wanted to keep the chairs. I did have to pull the tables apart so I could put things onto the table without moving all of the chairs. So that's just what I'm doing here, adding some tea type stuff. Honestly, whatever was in my storage that kind of seemed tea-like, I used that. I didn't really plan this too far ahead. Unfortunately, that's also pretty normal for me as well. I need to plan things better, but it's the ADHD in me, like I just cannot plan things very well. That's not fully true. I do like to plan things. It's just certain parts of my life that I don't like to plan. Like Animal Crossing is just for funsies for the most part, and so I don't really need to plan that. Other things in my life I do, obviously, like planning is necessary. I don't like it, but I do it. But that's ADHD for you. Anyway, back to the build. I'm assuming there are like snacks and stuff in tea. I don't know why I didn't put any actual cups down. That would have made more sense now that I'm looking back at that. Whoops! I did put candles there though. A lot of candles. maybe the teacups are just being washed right now, or that, the tea hasn't been served yet. That's what we're gonna go with. And now I'm just moving the tables down literally like 1 square because I didn't like how far up they were. And so I had to move everything literally 1 by 1. And then that also meant that I had to move the chairs 1 by 1. But, I felt it was necessary at the time. I don't really remember why. I did film this a decent amount of time ago. And by that I mean like last week. So I don't fully remember everything. Also thanks to my ADHD, I don't have a great memory, but that's beside the point. I moved everything down so that I could put stuff at the end of the table, if I remember right. Yeah, flowers. That's what I wanted to do. I think it looks better now that it's not right up against that tree, so you have a little breathing space in between. And now we're just putting down some flowers in wheat field. Maybe. I can never decide where I want wheat field to live. And it doesn't help that the wheat field always goes in a place that isn't right. Like it's always like 1 off or half a tile off. We're putting in these the plain party lights arch because I thought it was kind of whimsical and tea-like. I'm not really sure, but it looks cute. And now we're just moving on to the kind of filler area to the left of the tea party. I didn't really have anything good, like any good ideas of what I was gonna put there. So I just kind of started putting in all of the like natural type items and adjusting where all of these little flower stands are. And then that's also when I noticed that there's bows on them and the bows were all in the wrong direction. So I had to go around and fix the bows on them. Most people probably would not notice that, but I noticed it and then I couldn't unsee it, so I had to fix it. And then I got distracted with doing the filler area over here in between Blaire and Marty's house, which is a pretty big area. I almost put another house over here, the last villager house, but then I decided against that because I didn't want it to be too crowded, and I swear I can dig a hole in the right spot. I know that this series has shown otherwise, but I swear I can. So as with any area, we see little hazel, and we're gonna just pop in all of the like trees and stuff. I've been liking to do the trees first, just so that I can figure out the pathing, and then immediately got distracted and wanted to put down some balloons because maybe they're celebrating a birthday at the tea party area. I don't know, that could be. Now back over to this little area, I wanted to do a little simple well because it's so hard to use this item for me. And I saw one time somebody had surrounded it with bushes, and so I wanted to do something similar to that. So that's what we're doing for this little filler area. And then we're just gonna do pathing all around that, so it's almost kind of like you go in and around the well, like kind of like a roundabout almost. And it's just a filler area, but I think it came out really cute. And for this filler area, I did start with the pathing around like the main area, like the simple well and the bushes, because I wanted to make sure that that looked right before I did any of the other pathing, like to connect it. And I also have to figure out how it's gonna connect to the path in front of Blaire's house, and also how I'm gonna connect it to the incline that you can't actually see. It's off to the left, past Blaire's house. So I have to figure out how to connect all of that. And it took me some time, and I did most of that off screen so that you did not have to suffer through me doing even more pathing. And now we're just gonna move on to decorating. I put this cute little mush stool, and then I got a little bit of the money out from my pockets so that it's a little coin. I thought it was so cute, the little coin. I don't know why, I find that so adorable though. And I wanted to use the flower stand that we used in the tea party area to kind of tie it together, because they are in very similar areas, and I also just thought it was cute. It adds a little bit of height as well. I was very excited about the little coin, if you couldn't tell. And now we're just moving on to this lower area that's just gonna be like trees and bushes, flowers. You know the deal. Wheat field, of course, my favorite item to exist in this game. I was actually recently asked what my favorite item in the game was, the one that brings me the most joy, and I had to think hard about it because I'm like, I use wheat field on every island, but is it truly my favorite item? And the answer is yes, because I love how it gives me so much joy when I can run through like a field of the wheat field. It's so much fun. Anyway, you didn't ask, but now you know. And now we're just adding in some seating area, a little bike. You gotta make sure that you have a place to park the bikes. You can see a little Hazel just having the zoomies in the background as I decorate. Hard at work decorating, and they're just playing as it should be. They are spoiled, and I have done it that way on purpose, I guess. They don't help, but they sure are cute. And we gotta add in a little puddle with a little ducky. You have to have the ducky. I just think they're so cute. So the rest of this area is mostly just, all of the area, it's just filler. So it's just finding things that look kind of cute, that fill the area, make it look full and finished. Because it doesn't look finished to me if there's not something on literally every single square. I don't know why I'm like that, but I am. And so I have to fill it all. It must be filled. I don't know why, but it does. Otherwise it looks empty. And now I'm just back to adding flowers and natural things. And then unfortunately the ducky got in the way of where I was putting flowers. So he had to get scooched over a little bit, but that's fine. We just needed to put some little code down, and then the little mushroom platform, I think it's called, and more money. More of the little coin. Again, I don't know why that brings me so much enjoyment, but it does, so I just kept going with it. Now we're just doing the last little bits to finish off this area and still make it walkable before we move back to the tea party area to finish off with some flowers, because you can never have too many flowers and trees and bushes as long as they're not right next to each other in a way that's going to irritate me, which is why I switched these around. And then I immediately just decided to put the tree in the same spot, just the nursery one. I do think I'm going to grow, well, it's grown in now, but I'm thinking I might turn it into a stump because I don't have any stumps on this island, and I think that is necessary for a foresty island. And back to just doing the pathing, and then we're gonna start just filling it in. This is gonna be in a future video, that house on the left, so I'm not gonna do too much kind of around that area, just in just the part that's right along the pathing, because we did the path in this video, so that's what you get to see. And we're doing this tiny area across from where the tea party is. I wanted to try to keep things as low as possible. I did put a tree in there. I actually put a couple, but specifically the cedar tree that's right in front of the tables, I might end up taking that one out because it does block it a little bit. But what do you think? Do you think I should move that tree so it doesn't block the table as much once it's grown in? Let me know in the comments what you think about that. And so we're just gonna finish up this little area before we move into the other area to the left of the tea party, which it's mostly natural things, and then I did try to work in some spooky items as well, which I'm not sure if I like the spooky carriage here. It's such a hard item to make work because it's so large, and I wanted it to be somewhere on this island, but I don't know if this is the right area. Let me know what you think about that as well. I'm not sure if it makes sense in the tea party area. And I did it in a way where I was hoping it would kind of feel a little bit tucked in around the trees everywhere, but I'm still not sure about it. And then adding in our usual items in the area: trees, flowers, bushes, a chair for people to sit in, and some little spooky items to try to tie the spooky carriage in to the tea party area. I don't know if that ended up working out. Like I said, I'm not sure about this part of the area. I'm not sure that I like it. And we're just filling out the rest of this area just with some little flowers. And now we're moving on to the lower section that you won't really be able to see because it's going to be behind a house. The house isn't in yet, but it will be. And then just adding a tiny bit of items behind it because, yeah, you won't be able to see it. So I did want to add in some more balloons though because I love a balloon. And we're just going to fill this area in to finish off the video. And we are done. I hope you enjoyed today's video of Sylvana and Blaire's house. If you did enjoy it, please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Join the family and stick around so you can see the finished island. We're almost there. We just have a few more villager houses, my house, the beaches, and nooks, and that is it. So make sure that you stick around so you can see how Pinecone comes out, and I do hope you enjoyed today's video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!